What if I told you that there's a power within you that never ages? It's not a symbol, not a poetic metaphor, not an unattainable ideal. It's a living, breathing, vital structure, a power center that remains intact as the rest of you changes over the years. We call it the eternal core, and although you've carried it within you since your first breath, you may never have known of its existence. Imagine a secret temple deep within your body, accessible not with keys or cards, but with your consciousness. A center where the life energy that nourishes your existence rests peacefully, waiting to be awakened. This is not an esoteric fantasy. Various ancient traditions, from Taoism to the mystical schools of yoga, have spoken of this core. They call it the Dantian, the Hara, the lower energy center. For many, it's the wedge of chi, prana, or universal energy. But why is it relevant now? Because we live in a time where energy is easily dissipated. Our attention is fragmented by screens. Our bodies are tensed in mechanical routines. And our souls forget their home. The vital core remains inactive, not due to a lack of strength, but due to a lack of presence. And when we forget this center, we also forget a part of our personality. This video takes you on a journey of rediscovery. I'll show you why this muscle, which isn't a muscle but behaves like one, is more important than any gym, and why activating it can transform the way you inhabit your body, mind, and soul. You'll discover how simply focusing on this point can trigger a process of inner realignment, emotional recovery, and expanded consciousness. Because the vital core is more than a physical center. It's a spiritual antenna, a vessel of subtle intelligence, a biological altar where body and soul communicate with each other. And today, it's more important than ever to listen to this dialogue. So calm down, take a deep breath, and follow me. Let's delve into knowledge that has been hidden for centuries and is returning to you today. Not by chance, but because you are ready. And remember, you aren't learning anything new. You are remembering what your body already knew, only this time while awake. Since the dawn of humanity, we have been aware that our body is not merely a biological structure, but also a repository of power, a spiritual fulcrum. All esoteric teachings of ancient civilizations share one thing in common: the existence of a deep energy center that connects the physical with the eternal. In Chinese culture, this point is known as the lower Dantian. In spiritual Japan, it is called Hara. In some yoga schools, it is associated with the Manipura chakra, although its location and function transcend any linear classification system. For Taoist sages, the Dantian was more than just an energy center. It was an alchemical cauldron in which the life energy, qi, was boiled, refined, and transformed into higher states of consciousness. This center, located about 3 finger widths below the navel and deep within the body, was the place where true power, not only physical but also spiritual, was born. Ancient practitioners knew that by concentrating breath and attention on this point, they could tap into an inexhaustible source of vitality and balance. For them, longevity, wisdom, and enlightenment were not ultimate goals, but rather side effects of conscious contact with this core. In Japanese philosophy, the Hara is not just a physical center, but the seat of the soul. In martial arts, every powerful, precise, and conscious movement originates from the Hara. When an Aikido master moves effortlessly and without force, fluidly dominating his opponent, he does so with this deep connection. He doesn't fight with his arms or even his mind. He does it with his core. In Japanese culture, living from the Hara means being focused, acting with integrity, and reacting without fear. It means being truly present, without hesitation or distraction. In the Sufi tradition, too, albeit with different idioms and metaphors, the chest is described as the place where divine nourishment rests, the sacred fire that transforms the soul. And in certain Gnostic texts, the second heart is described not as an organ, but as an inner flame that maintains the connection between the material and the spiritual world. But what happened to this knowledge? Why was it suppressed by systems that view the body merely as a biological machine separate from its soul? Human history has seen times when physical spirituality was considered heresy or superstition. Modernity has brought us progress, but on the contrary, we have forgotten how to listen to the body from within. We have learned to train muscles, but not to awaken sacred centers. And yet, the ancient teachings never completely disappeared. They remained like blazing flames on the banks of time, waiting for us to peer into them. Today, many alternative healing methods, somatic mindfulness practices, and new spiritualities are rediscovering what the ancients already knew, that the body is a map and that at its core lies a transformative secret. The significance of this vital core goes beyond physiology. It is not just a center of physical balance, but a meeting point between instinct and intuition, between earth and spirit. Its activation is not just a technique. It is a way of living consciously, of walking with a straight spine, vibrant breath, and an awakened soul. The vital core is the silent witness of your journey through this world. It doesn't age because it doesn't belong to time. It waits for you, intact, like an inner sense that knows who you are, even if you've forgotten it. Imagine a primitive drum echoing at the center of your being. You can't see it, you can't touch it, but its vibration maintains our balance, our vitality, and even our mental clarity. This inner drum is the vital core spoken of in so many spiritual traditions. A kind of invisible muscle that, although it doesn't age, is rarely consciously activated by modern man. Physically speaking, this core could correlate with a deep area of the abdomen, the center of gravity of the human body. However, reducing it to anatomy would be like trying to explain a poem with a chemical formula. This center doesn't just distribute power. It is also an energy regulator. Here, body and soul go hand in hand. It is the axis from which consciousness embodies the here and now. It is the meeting point between the visible and invisible worlds. Most people live outside of this center. Their attention hovers among chaotic thoughts, external worries, and desires that carry them along like leaves in the wind. When this happens, energy dissipates. We become emotionally unstable, physically insecure, and mentally weak. But when we focus our attention on our inner self and breathe into it, something happens. It's as if an ancient bell begins to ring from the depths of your flesh and soul. In this center, not words dwell, but the silence that sustains them. Here dwells not the ego, but pure will. It's not about reaction, but about intention. Most people believe they make decisions with their heads, but when you activate your core, you realize that the truest decisions aren't thought through. They're based on knowledge. From then on, we no longer act impulsively, but from the right perspective. Activating this core means retraining its presence. It changes the way we walk, speak, listen, and even think. Therefore, many spiritual practices say that the path to heaven begins in the chest. It's not about imagining lights or repeating empty affirmations. It's about feeling the weight of the body from the center, living consciously in one's flesh, and letting every movement emanate from this life axis. When that happens, everything changes. The voice becomes firmer, the gaze calmer, and the breathing deeper. This center also fulfills a protective function. Not out of defense, but out of stability. A person who lives from within is difficult to manipulate because they don't have to search outside for what they already carry within. Their energy doesn't escape through the pores of fear or compulsive desire. Her aura thickens not like armor, but like a coherent magnetic field. And here's a crucial detail. This core doesn't age because it's not dependent on time. It doesn't squish like external muscles and doesn't erode like joints. It's pure energy, an eternal point on the body's transient map. We can be 70 years old, and if we activate it, we can still walk with the energy of someone reborn. Remembering the vital core means remembering that we are not just mind and soul. We are a body that prays in silence, a center that sustains us, a temple that pulsates. The muscle that never ages is, in fact, a door, and this door leads inexorably back to you. In ancient alchemy, no one tried to turn metals into gold on a whim. The real gold lay within. In this tradition, the body was the crucible, the soul, the fire, the core of life, the melting point. This forgotten muscle, which neither ages nor reacts to time like other tissues, holds a greater secret. It is the bridge between dimensions, between the sacred and the everyday, between the being we inhabit and the being we ignore. The key lies in understanding that the vital core, also referred to in some practices as the Hara, Tantien, or center of being, is more than just an anatomical point. It is a point of consciousness. From there, not only physical power but also vibrational coherence is generated. From this center, your intentions gain strength and direction. Manifesting from this core is not a mental act, but an energetic one. The will condenses, takes root, and plunges into the world from a point of deep gravity. Have you noticed that your body aligns when you are present and at peace? Your spine expands, the rabbit gently stretches, your face relaxes. Your entire bodily system seems to respond to a silent command that comes not from your thoughts, but from some kind of hidden command center. This is where the vital core is at work. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it simply radiates. The great modern error is to believe that the body only obeys what we consciously say. But the body is wise and responds to what we truly feel, even if we hide it. When we focus on the surface of our emotions and thoughts, the body reacts with tension, imbalance, and fatigue. However, when we inhabit the core, this silent center beyond all judgment, the body responds with vitality, precision, and a mysterious peace. It is no coincidence that many spiritual teachings teach us to breathe from this center. Breathing is an invocation of the soul. Inhaling becomes sacrifice. Exhaling becomes liberation. You're not just taking in oxygen. You're remembering your energetic nature. You're reconnecting with your unchanging core. Relief becomes a mutual prayer, at a point between what you are and what you can be. The inactivity of the vital core is not because it is atrophied, but because it is asleep. And this dream is brought about by the noise of the world, by the forgetting of what is essential. The good news is that awakening this center doesn't require complex rituals or years of training. Simply return to yourself. Simply listen to yourself. Not with your ears, but with your attention. Simply direct your awareness directly below your navel, right into the void where everything begins. And once awakened, the vital core changes more than just the way you walk or feel. It changes your energy field. People notice it without knowing exactly what has changed. Your presence becomes denser, clearer. You stop talking excessively because your gestures already convey this. You stop seeking recognition because you know where you're coming from. This muscle responds not to mechanical repetition, but to the depth of your presence. You can't fake your activation, because your energy only emerges when you are authentic. It is the energetic signature of someone who has stopped running away from themselves. In short, the vital core is not just a physical resource. It is a dimension of being. It is the drum that beats the rhythm of your true destiny. It is the center from which you can remember that your body is not a prison, but an altar, that you are not here to survive, but to pulsate from the deepest depths, and that in this center, always intact, always awake, dwells the spark of the eternal. Awakening the vital core is neither a spiritual luxury nor a mystical practice reserved for occult beginners. It's a pressing need in a world where most people live from the periphery of their own bodies. We live saturated with external stimuli and have learned to react more than respond. The first step to accessing your vital core isn't to do something, but to stop being distracted. Here are some tips for returning to your center and building a deep relationship with this eternal muscle within you. 1. Refocus on your body. Take at least 5 minutes a day to close your eyes, breathe, and feel your body from within. Focus particularly on the lower shoulder area, just below the navel, where many traditions place the spiritual center of gravity. This simple exercise not only centers you but also trains your mind to obey the body rather than dominate it. 2. Walk from the center, not from the head. Walking is not just physical movement, but an ancient ritual of presence. As you walk, imagine that each step comes from your vital core, not from your legs or thoughts. This small shift in attention changes your energy and your relationship to space. Begin to inhabit the world with a different density, with a different wave. 3. Breathe intentionally, not reflexively. Most people breathe unconsciously, but when you make breathing a conscious act, you awaken your core. Breathe deeply and slowly, imagining how each inhalation ignites an invisible fire within you. Each exhalation then becomes an energetic expansion. Alignment is the key to the inner temple. 4. Practice active silence. Don't confuse silence with passivity. Silence that comes from the vital core is fruitful and full of intelligence. Allow yourself to remain still, silent, or silent every now and then. Observe what's going on inside you when you don't have to defend or explain yourself. Then your unvarnished truth will emerge, and your vital core will begin to communicate clearly. 5. Detach yourself from your emotions. Your emotions are important, but they are not you. They are like clouds that disperse the sky of your consciousness. When you connect with your inner self, you can feel them deeply without getting lost in them. Sadness ceases to be an abyss. Fear becomes a signal. Euphoria no longer hinders you. From within, everything is clearer, more stable, more true. 6. Eat with mindfulness and gratitude. The vital core also reacts to food, not only physically but also vibrationally. Eat in peace, without screens and without rushing. Consider every meal an offering to your inner temple. Even a simple dish can have an alchemical effect when enjoyed internally. Remember, your body listens to your diet. 7. Remember who lives in your body. The vital core is eternal, for it doesn't belong to this life alone. It is the root in which your memories, your destiny, and your invisible origins are anchored. When you engage with it, you begin to act not on impulse, but on wisdom. Your decisions will become more certain, your words more powerful, and your path more sacred. This advice isn't a rule, but a doorway. It's not about making everything perfect, but about returning to yourself, because that timeless core isn't waiting for you somewhere far away. It's right there within you, knocking quietly and demanding to be heard. Imagine for a moment that everything you seek outside of yourself, clarity, strength, direction, renewal, doesn't lie in the future, anywhere else, or even in another person. It's right there, in the invisible center of your being. It's not a poetic metaphor, but meant literally. There's a vital core within you, a point of convergence where body and spirit, human and divine, meet, and it's waiting. On this journey, we've uncovered a forgotten truth. There's a part of your body that doesn't age because it's not trapped in time. The vital core, this point of deep bodily awareness, does not react to biological deterioration like muscles or joints. It remains intact, still, and complete, as if guarding a door to another level of ourself. This core, whether you call it thymus, hara, Tantien, power center, or simply the incarnated soul, is not a myth or belief. It's an experience that is only activated when you pay attention to it. And this attention isn't limited to positive thoughts or superficial intentions. It requires dedication, an invisible discipline, a daily return to the here and now. If you don't tap into this core, you live on the periphery. They move through automatic reflexes. They react from their heads. They disperse. You fragment yourself. But when you awaken it, you become whole. Then every action, eating, breathing, speaking, walking, becomes a living prayer. It's as if your entire body finally remembers its purpose, to be a conduit of the spirit. And with this integration, something magical happens. Emotions no longer control you because you are no longer connected to them. Life energy flows better because you've removed the blockages caused by self-forgetfulness. Decisions become clearer because they're dictated not by fear but by deep physical wisdom. Your attitude changes. Your presence changes. Life responds. This is true awakening, not flying out of the body, but fully incarnating. And that only happens from the core, from the axis that supports everything, from this silent force that doesn't write, but changes. Now you know, and you can no longer know. The question isn't whether the core exists. The question is, how long will you live without inhabiting it? Because if you do, if you surrender to it, you won't just feel healthier, stronger, and more serene. You'll discover something even deeper, that a temple lives within you, and that every cell, every heartbeat, and every breath is waiting for you to remember how to enter. And so, ultimately, the body prays and the soul listens.